Welcome to our business show here on Uxbridge FM, and we're recording this in April 2020, if you're watching it back in the future. We're 3 weeks into a lockdown in the UK, where most of the businesses have closed down and people are at home. Many employees have been furloughed and will be hoping for government support. We've not seen this situation in our business lifetimes before. Our guest today is Andy Sharma from Action Coach. He's a business coach based in Hillingdon, and we'll try and find some positives today in the current situation. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm all right. Yes, what a strange situation we find ourselves in.
That's true. Yes. Coronavirus has impacted not only just the health side of things, but also the economy. So people are feeling the pinch in terms of the self-isolation. Being stuck at home is not enough. Then other things are also in the picture where people are getting impacted in terms of salary cuts, layoffs, also looking at their businesses not being able to perform as they should. And that is also just coming out of Brexit. So yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's very hard times. Just give us an idea of what you do normally in normal times.
Well, I'm a business coach, like you said. I run a business coaching firm based in Hillingdon and work with small and medium-sized businesses in terms of their growth strategy, getting the best out of their people, and also looking at developing the business if they're looking to sell the business down the line. So those are the kind of things that I work on with businesses in Hillingdon area or West London area. Yes.
And at the moment, of course, that's all changed. Give us an idea of the main challenges that you're seeing business owners facing at the moment.
Well, Steve, when this whole crisis started, it was more about fear and the uncertainty. And people were scared. The whole thing when it came out of China, people didn't know what to expect. Over a period of time, because of how the crisis has unfolded, it has taken a toll on the economy. It's taken a toll on the businesses. A lot of small and medium-sized businesses have been impacted because of that. So all that combined, put together, it is kind of impacting people, whether they're in the job, whether they're in business, or whether they are self-employed. So it is about survival right now. So the challenges that people are facing currently is to look at how their personal cash flow, the business cash flow, is impacted. So they need to be able to understand where the next month's money going to come from, or the next month's paycheck going to come from. Obviously, government has provided a lot of support. But these are the challenges that normally people are facing, and looking at how they're going to react to the situation. Because remember, you may or may not be able to control the situation, but you can always control how you react to it. So it's also about understanding the challenges, but understanding how you're going to react to those challenges.
Sure, yeah. And just give us a quick flavour. I know you're not an accountant, but give us a quick flavour of some of the support that the government has put in place for employees and company owners.
Yeah, there have been a lot of announcements, and government has come out with a good support package. So if you start, they have introduced this job retention scheme where they're giving away 80% of the salaries up to 2,500 for the employees who are on the rolls. They're looking at supporting the businesses in terms of rates, small businesses, and businesses which are slightly bigger, rateable value of 51,000 or less. They're getting another rate rebate for 25,000, I think. And they've also waived off rates for retail, leisure, and hospitality businesses. At the same time, they have come up with this coronavirus business interruption loans, which has been introduced, which I think will be able to support a lot of businesses get the funding required to survive the next 3 to 6 months, and then look at scaling up. Apart from that, I think there is an option of opportunity for people to delay their VAT payments and tax payments. So those are kind of support packages which have come out, and a lot of information available online on the government sites where you can access that information and see what you qualify for and how to access it.
Yeah. Unprecedented times. And how are you able to support your clients or businesses at the moment?
Well, what I have been doing is obviously all the clients, more or less every client that I have has been impacted because of this interruption in the crisis. So I'm supporting all the clients to the best of my ability, possible. At the same time, also supporting the local business community. I've been running some free webinars in terms of educating people about what support is available, how to access the grants and things like that. I am also running webinars in terms of how to use these times, or leadership in virtual times, or developing cash flows, or how to manage their cash flow, because these are the key areas that people need to be focusing on at this point of time. So running some free webinar, one webinar a week. I've also done a webinar with Hillingdon Chamber of Commerce where I was on the panel to talk to the local business community and the business owners and answer any questions they may have, or answer any queries regarding how to deal with this crisis. Apart from that, I am also gifting coaching sessions. So I've set aside 5 hours every week where I am sitting down with people in the community and helping them chart out a plan or course of action, or if they need any other support to get through this crisis. Because remember, the focus is survival first. You need to survive this crisis and be strong enough to come out at the other end. So I'm doing that in terms of gifting the coaching sessions. If anybody's interested, they can book it online. I'm also running some online training programs, online coaching sessions, which because I believe this is a good time for you to start investing in yourself and your team. So I'm running some online training programs. Areas like time management, cash flow management, sales, marketing, digital marketing, getting your team to perform well. Also looking at how to create systems and processes in your business, what strategies to employ if you're looking to scale up when this whole crisis is over. So these are the few things that I am actually working on, helping with the community. The mainly two areas that whenever I sit down with the client, the two areas that I look at. One is obviously you don't know what you need to be doing in these times, and once the crisis is over, so help them get some clarity on that. Also look at what is it that you're not doing that you should be doing, because a lot of people know what they should be doing but they don't do the things. So it's about getting that clarity and getting them to take action. So what to do in terms of strategy and how to do it, what is your mindset going to be, how you're going to deal with this, how you're going to come across to your team. So these are a few areas that I'm helping the local community to work with.
And have you got any tips for maybe business owners at the moment to stay proactive? I mean, I suppose a lot of it is perhaps keeping up with almost a routine, and keeping communication going with your staff and employees, telling them what's going to happen. But a lot of the issue, I think, is the uncertainty, isn't it? Nobody really knows how long it's going to last.
That's true, Steve. Absolutely. Like I said earlier, you may not be able to control the situation, but you always have a choice to, how you're going to react to that situation. Now, when this whole crisis started, or just till a few weeks back, there was a lot of fear, in the marketplace, and the people were scared because they did not know what is it that they're going to be facing. However, when I'm talking to people, it's also about understanding that if you're focused on the fear, you will just be paralyzed. So it is about understanding where you're focusing. So changing the focus from fear to what is it that you can do, or what is it that you can control, is the key in terms of what an individual can do. I would also suggest in terms of communication, like you said, focus on positive communication, effective communication. It's about understanding what is it that people around you, because remember, if you were scared, you are scared, the others may also be scared. So it is about understanding, calming the fears, and dealing with that, especially with people around you or your teammates, because uh, most of these people are looking for somebody to lead them on. And are you going to step up and take that leadership role where people have trust and faith in you, and you kind of take that leadership role? Apart from that, I would say make sure you have your own cash flow, personal cash flow. And if you're in business, make sure you have a business cash flow. If you haven't done the cash flow yet, this would be a good time to start, to build a cash flow, so you can actually project where is the money coming from over next 2 to 3 months. What are my expenses when the payments are going out? So you can plan. Once you have that clarity, that will take away a lot of stress, from the situation. So I think it's important to have that tool ready in your business. And if you don't have one, please feel free to connect with me. I'm going to be, I'll be happy to sit down with you and help you develop that. In terms of moving forward, there are a lot of businesses which still need to sell, still need to market, and I'm sure people are working on it and trying to sell. But selling just like normal times may not work. So you need to change your marketing. You need to change your sales in this time. Otherwise, you will get frustrated. Plus, you will irritate some people as well. So there needs to be some compassion in your sales. There needs to be, the messaging needs to change. You need to be able to connect with people in terms of what is it that they're looking to get out. Another thing which I would suggest people to focus on is, their people, their team. Uh, you know, this is the time when you can invest in people. At the same time, if you support them during these times, and you'll buy their loyalty, and they will stay long term with you. So if you have good people on the team, it is your responsibility to take care of them and at the same time support them. Like I said, invest in people. This would be a good time to start investing in people. Put them on training program. Put yourself on a training program. Like I said, I'm offering some online training programs, which would be right for you to, invest in at this point of time. When the things get back to normal, you may or may not find time to do that. So it's about understanding. And lastly, I would say, uh, in terms of clarity, it would be a good idea if you have a plan for next 90 days, 3 to 6 months, saying, what do you foresee coming? What do you foresee happening in your business or in your life, and how you're going to deal with that? What strategies you're going to be employing to deal with the situations that you may be faced with. So I think these are the things, people, if they focus on, would take the fear out of the equation, and they will be focused more in terms of moving forward rather than just being paralyzed because of the stress and the fear.
Yeah. This might be a bit of an unfair question, because I haven't been giving it much thought myself even, but are there any business sectors, when we're getting back to normal, if someone's sitting here thinking, is there any business sector I can get into that's guaranteed to be a good one? People are going to be rushing back to do what when they come out of their isolation? I mean, obviously people want to go and see friends and relatives and family members, and probably head down the pub if they've got any beer left. But as a business owner, there's going to be a whole change, isn't there? We're going to be trying to get out of certain sectors for sure, I think. I mean, I don't know about the perhaps restaurant and the retail sector, how that's going to fare once we all start heading back. But are there any certs, do you think, surefire certs that you can think of that people should head towards?
Well, the two ways to look at it. First is the current situation. So we need to look at what is the need of the hour. Well, I mean, obviously, anything related to healthcare is booming right now. So recruitment related to healthcare, or for example, NHS, anything. If you can supply something to NHS, this would be a good time to explore those options. However, also at the same time, look at businesses that support, like for example, cleaning companies. They've been doing reasonably well as well. Once this whole crisis is over, I think, remember, this crisis is caused by coronavirus, so it's not like a normal economic crisis. Now, we don't know how it is going to turn out, but my assumption is, and I hope that is true, is once the virus is taken care of, things will start getting back to normal much faster as compared to any other economic crisis or past economic crisis. So people are already bored, being stuck inside. So I think we will see a boom in terms of travel. We'll see a boom in terms of, hospitality, leisure activities, because people would want to go out and get out and do some things. At the same time, we need to take into account how the money is going to flow. So obviously, people's salaries may have been compromised. Some people may have been laid off. So we need to understand how that is going to impact. But more or less, I think things will start getting back to normal faster than compared to any other economic crisis that we may have seen. So I think the idea is, when this whole crisis is over, I mean, the focus right now should be surviving. But I believe when this whole crisis is over, more or less every sector is going to boom, because everybody is holding on. Everybody is kind of, um, uh, they're trying to delay the investment, or they're trying to delay spending money. But as soon as that is over, we will see recovery pretty fast. That's my feel. And So in terms of looking at activities, think of what people would like to do when this crisis is over. So what is it that they're not able to do now, because they have not been able to do because of isolation, or because of lack of money, or because of lack of supply, or whatever the reason may be. Those are the good areas to focus on, I think. And some, like I said, cleaning companies, they would be in demand, because they would need, people would, that'll improve people's confidence in terms of if things are sanitized properly, or things are cleaned properly. So there may be a good opportunity for you to look at areas where what would be the outcome of this whole crisis, what people would be focusing on moving on from here.
Yeah. I mean, half of me was thinking that there'd be a downturn in commercial office space because people are getting used to working from home, using tools like Zoom and Teams and Skype. But the other half of me thinks people are so tired of being locked down, they're going to be bursting to go and see their business colleagues. So perhaps there'll be a boom in commercial office space and people wanting to go back to work. I don't know how that will work, but it'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I mean, as far as commercial office space is concerned, people would need that. It's only very, very small businesses or one-man bands who work from home office. But usually, if you have clients coming over, or if you have a team, you do require some sort of an office space. So I don't see that being impacted in the long term. Maybe in the short run, yes, people. I mean, you having an office space doesn't stop you from still using Zoom. It does help you cut down your travel time. It does help you improve your productivity. However, the purpose of having an office is not just for that. There are other purposes of having an office. So I think you're right. When people are stuck at home for such a long time, they would want to go out. They would want to step out. They would want to spend time in office. Because office, sometimes having a nice premises or having a nice office improves your productivity, because you have things at hand, and which may or may not be possible when you're working from home. So I think people are going to get back to normal sooner rather than later, and that they would be itching. I've heard people say that I can't wait to get out of the house. I can't wait to get back to the office. So we'll see how it turns out, but it'll be interesting to see.
Well, finally, perhaps maybe just spend a few minutes giving some examples of your business successes that you've had as a business coach. Can you give us some examples where you've perhaps improved a business's turnover or changed tactic for people? How would you work, and give us some examples of that?
Well, that's interesting, because, like I said, it has impacted everybody. Some businesses have been impacted more negatively compared to others. Before the crisis started, the clients that I was working with, usually they were growing at a rate of 60-70% year on year. However, when the crisis has come in, as different businesses have reacted differently. So one of the businesses that I work with, they have changed their business model, and they have looked at, rather than people coming to them, how can we get to the people? And in all honesty, uh, March was their best month so far. So they have done more business in March than they have done, any other month of the year, even last year. So uh, it's only about changing the business model, and looking at what is the need of the hour. Another business, which was forced to shut down, had to change the way they were doing business. So they were more into retail and wholesale. What they did then, moved all of it from offline to online, and they are able to maintain almost similar business levels, because the demand is still there, people are still buying, people are still investing. uh, they were able to do, the business as usual. They had to change again business model, but it's about understanding what does your customer or your client need at this point of time. So uh, businesses in retail sector have benefited moving from offline to online. Another automotive, service company, has benefited because they changed the business model again. But yeah, it's about understanding how are you going to adapt, because if you're not willing to adapt, you may miss an opportunity. Every change brings about challenges, but it also brings about some opportunities. People who are able to adapt are able to benefit. So it's about understanding how the market is changing, understanding how you have been, catering to your target market, understanding what change can you bring about or in the business model, or the way you serve your people. um, so these are some of the examples I can think of in recent times, which have happened, which have helped businesses, make most of this crisis. Now, there are people who are marketing, there are people who are selling. Uh, it is important to do that, because in times like these, it's you're not just selling just to sell, you're just selling to survive. And however, changing your approach, looking at how you are communicating with your target market, is the kind of difference between how would you sell normally and how you would sell now. So, I would say about 20% of the businesses had a negative impact. More or less 60% of the businesses that I work with have been able to maintain the level, and the 20% of the businesses have actually far exceeded their own expectations in terms of their growth. So they've made more money than they would have made normally. And they're not all healthcare businesses. They're far away from healthcare businesses, but it's just about understanding how to make that change and adapt. So that's what has been, happening in this crisis.
Yeah. It just shows you the power of having a coach. I think it's a really important thing, is it, as a business owner, because it gives you the chance to zoom out of your business and the day-to-day running of your business just for a moment as you chat to your coach, and maybe think a bit more long-term about
Absolutely.
your ideal ways to run the business going forward in the future.
Absolutely. Because look, when you are in your business, you are in your business. You can't really see the woods for the trees. But I run a coaching business, but I have my own coach. It's not
Right.
that I don't know what to do, but sometimes it is important to get an independent perspective. Somebody who's outside of the business will not be swayed by the emotions that I am going through in the business. uh, so would be more logical about what needs to happen, would be able to actually make some suggestions based on how the situation looks from where that person is standing. So having a coach doesn't mean it's a sign of weakness. It's about utilizing somebody else's potential or expertise or the view to move forward faster. You are going to be moving anyway, but if you could move faster, why not take that opportunity? So I have a coach myself. I'll have a coaching session now at 5:30 this evening with my coach, which is a weekly session. So I sit down with my coach every week, for half an hour, 1 hour, and discuss what do I need to do in my business. So uh, it's not rocket science. Business is simple, but at the same time, when you have a team which you can lean on, why not do that? So I would definitely say, I would definitely recommend have a coach, just like having a sports team. Like, if a team is successful, for example, if a football team is successful, would you think that they don't have a coach, or would you think that if they are successful, they don't need a coach? So that goes against the whole theory of, moving forward faster. But at the same time, it is important to be able to utilize, have your team around. So coach is part of your team, just like my coach is part of my team. So I would say, if you want to move faster, if you want to have consistent results, having somebody on board is a good idea. It doesn't necessarily have to be a coach. It could be somebody who can mentor you. It could be somebody who can hold you accountable. And it could be, if there are two partners in the business, they can work together like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a coach per se, but you need to have somebody who can think independently, who can look at things differently, who's not afraid to give you the advice, what you need, or suggestions that you need to hear. So it's about, surrounding yourself with people who are invested in your growth rather than just yourself.
Yeah. Wise words, Andy. So, 5 hours each week, coaching sessions. That's a very generous offer. And also some online training sessions. AndySharma.actioncoach.com is the website for those. Thank you so much for joining us today on Uxbridge FM. We've definitely learnt a lot. And our message, I suppose, is to stay positive. We don't quite know how much longer we're going to be with the family, the kids. And my routine at the moment is doing Joe Wicks in the morning exercise with the kids. That's at 9. And then other things throughout the day. But it gets me up. But once we're all back together and we can go for a few beers, I'm sure we'll come all attend your excellent workshops that you have regularly.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you.
And we'll talk to you soon. Cheers, Andy.
Cheers, Steve. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.